you're going to do and such. Want to just remind everybody that SAINTCon is a production of the Utah Saint organization. If you haven't had an opportunity while you were here to learn more about the Utah Saint organization, that's sad. But at the same time, it's a group of network security professionals throughout the state of Utah and beyond now. There's members from all over the place, where we share a lot of information. We want to make you aware of this organization. It's free to join the organization and contribute and be part of it. The glitches that we had in some of the sign-up and vetting systems have been fixed, so if you have previously tried and haven't heard anything back, those issues are fixed. We're going to be doing a lot of vettings over the next couple of days for sure. And so you'll hear back from us one way or another. And then I'm not going to bore you with the details on how it all works because we talked about it during the opener. Suffice it to say, get with a buddy that's part of the Utah Saint organization to help you out.
All the people who applied before that didn't get better,
And I'm getting the word from Seth, and he did remind me of this earlier, that if you've already signed up, you don't need to sign up again. We have all that information. The vetting process, email system, and other things that we use wasn't working properly. It came down to a time sync issue between Amazon and our server. So, next thing, and appropriately so, we want to thank our sponsors this year. Okay? The reason why you have a really cool badge around your neck is because of sponsors like this: Cache Valley Electric, Proactive Network Management, CompuNet, Bit9, Aruba, Forti, Checkpoint, Adobe, CenturyLink, Valcom, Bluehost, and a few others that have donated either a lot of time, like the Utah Education Network. We can't run a conference with 5 UEN employees being on the committee without having the UEN organization donate a lot of our time to prepare for this conference. But it's these vendors, it's these people that make it possible for us to do cool things like the badges. It allows us to buy the audiovisual equipment this year that we needed to make sure that nobody hears a squeaky mic ever again. Yay. And so we appreciate their involvement. I hope that you took some time to visit them out there in the Vendor Expo. We only let them come for 2 days. I mean, some of them might be here today still, but we only let them sit out their wares and talk to you guys out there as vendors for 2 of the days officially, so that you don't get overwhelmed with it, but at the same time, it compresses it down so you can go visit them. You have 2 days to do it, and it doesn't interfere too much with the conference because we like to be vendor neutral as much as possible here with a lot of the products. You won't see many product recommendations come from any of the, at least the committee's talks. All right, the next people that need thank you and a big round of applause are these folks. So Weber State University has not only donated in large part the venue that we've used for the last number of years, but this year as well. Is Brett Ellis in the room? Good. If he's not, then I can say this out loud and just say that he's got a lot of employees that worked a lot of nights and weekends, but probably a few hours during the day as well, helping make this conference possible, programming the badge, arranging networks, and all those other things. These guys have done an incredible job for us, and it's kind of sad that we're probably not going to be here next year to continue to take a full benefit of Weber State University's hospitality, but we'll most certainly continue to use their employee resources. All right, and then I want to thank you, the attendees, for coming, for spending your time, a little bit of your money, to come here, to maybe learn something new, to experience something new, and such, because truly you guys are what makes SAINTCon possible, what makes it important for us, and what really gives us the drive to continue to do something that is becoming big, large, unwieldy, and requires a lot more time than it used to. So, the next thing is, real quickly, a plug one more time for the survey. So, this is how we continue to make SAINTCon as cool as it is. We take your feedback, both the positive and the negative, and we do our very best to make sure that anything you guys are telling us gets considered as we do planning for the following year. We learned things along the way. We kind of learned this year that, hey, you sign 600 people up for the conference, and everybody comes on that first day, but that second day at 9 o'clock in the morning, everybody's sitting down there at the parking lot still trying to get a shuttle over to the conference, and the first 3 talks of the day are pretty empty. We've learned a lot of other things along the way that we take back, but we want to make sure we're getting your input. So please take the time to fill out that survey. I would say there's prizes involved, and my phone keeps ringing. It's over here. No, actually, it's not ringing. Sorry, this is the Twitter buzz going on. That's all right. Dave is... Actually, let me stop there, just pause. Dave, stand up for a second. This guy must be on Twitter 24 hours a day, because within a couple of seconds of SAINTCon tweeting something, he's favorited it and retweeted it. Like, seconds. So we appreciate it. And those of you that have access to those types of social media things, we'd love to get the word out about the conference. It's one of the other reasons why we think that it's growing. There's a couple questions in the survey so we can validate some of those results. Once again, I want to thank the AV guys. They've done an incredible job this year making this work. James Pope, where are you? Stand up wherever you're at. He's in the back waving his hand. The guy is amazing. And so we appreciate him. And then I got to slide out of order, and I'm going to fix it so I don't reveal what I want to reveal before I do it. So one other thing, there were so many talks that we accepted this year. In fact, there were very few that we didn't when we did the call for presentations. As time goes on, we're going to be a little bit more selective. We've got some great speakers. We've got some excellent speakers. In the event that you were choosing whether, man, there's 2 good talks going on or 4 good talks going on, and I can only be in one place at a time, we did our best this year to record every single talk, and I think that we did it with a few minor exceptions, with audio issues and some other things. And so within a couple of weeks, I'm not going to give you a deadline, we're going to go through, we're going to post-produce all of those and make sure that they have any bad words bleeped out. I'm sure there weren't very many bad words. I know I said damn a couple of times in my talk, but yes, we'll bleep them out, but we'll also make sure that, you know, all of the leaders on both ends and stuff are cut up, but we're going to post them and make them public. It'll be a first for SAINTCon to have all of the talks out there for you to all watch so you don't miss a darn thing. So that crew right there, stand up, Kevin. No, well, and Pope, our AV crew, they worked together to make this happen, and it was quite the feat. So give them a round of applause. Okay, I had another slide out of order. All right, so I want to talk about a couple of the villages. I want to invite Nate Henney up wherever he's at, because the first village we're going to talk about is the Vault. Raise your hand if you took an opportunity to go play that thing. Okay, for something that we threw together a couple of weeks before the conference, was it pretty cool? All right, so if we were to throw maybe a couple of $1,000s at it, and maybe a couple of months of inspiration at it, do you think we could make it better? That's what's coming next year. For sure. So the Vault was way, I don't know how that moved ahead, but was that you? Yeah. No. The Vault was extremely successful, and we're awarding a prize to the group that got through it the best. And so with the SEC SL group, you know who you are, come up, because they won. And I'll explain why. Nate, come up too, because we need to recognize, he'd left the room, that bugger. Come on. All right, so I just wanted to kind of show you, we left these bags out there at the registration table for a little while to let people kind of take a look at them. If you didn't play it, I'm going to explain real quick how it works. you would go through this challenge. It's a physical security challenge. You have to defeat motion sensors. You have to pick your way through doors and all kinds of other things. And ultimately, all of the successful teams ended up with a bag, a tamper-proof bag, that had a USB stick in it. And the USB stick had nothing more than just a password hash that they had to crack to prove that they were able to get into the bag. And then they were instructed to bring the bag back to us and hand it to us as if it hadn't been tampered. And so you can see, I mean, these are top of the line bags that we used. These guys did an incredible job. Their bag's 61, it's this one right here. And we left it out there and nobody was able to find out how they got into it, but they were able to get into the bag, access the USB, and pull the information off and crack the passwords. We had to ask them how they did it. Seriously, we had to ask. Tell them. You have to turn the switch on. Wait 2 seconds.
Wait 2 seconds. I guess I'm fielding this?
You are. Field this.
Okay, so we had this idea that we wanted to make really, really micro holes. And so we started with some lancing needles that were 33 gauge. But anybody that knows anything about electronics and 5 volts and about 18 milliamps with 33 gauge knows that that's not going to work.
There's a video.
It will be posted. We documented all this. Hopefully we're going to have a whole write-up and everything and videos. So then we switched to 26 gauge lancing needles. The problem is, where are you going to poke the holes? So we're looking at different places, and where did it end up getting put?
Right at the top.
Right at the top in the corner. Turns out that the purple was an excellent camouflage for holes. And with Henry's ability to do a little bit of masking with a heat gun, I think you just shot it very slightly, and it made the holes actually just a tiny bit smaller. And since that whole thing was a built-in adhesive and it has a built-in cracking mechanism, if you try to mess with it too much, it'd be really, really difficult to tell. So that's what we did. Oh wait, we also built a little jig and stuff to be able to hook it up, and we definitely fried a lot of USB sticks. And oh yeah, and the cracking rig. We had a cracking rig and had proof of concept.
And they spent almost $200 to do it all.
Three trips to Walmart. They love us now. We got really confused at like 11 o'clock. A trip to the sporting goods store for some
Infrared heat blankets.
infrared heat blankets, which did not work for us. But essentially what we were doing was tapping the USB through the bag, touching 4 pins to the ports. But what happens is when you ground those out, it doesn't work, and you have to reset your USB. So Henry's sitting there holding the bag, trying to get it just right without creating too big of holes, while I'm sitting there trying to get the USB to work. It was just fun. And then the hashing rig was awesome.
Yeah, so speaking of videos that need to be edited,
Sorry about that.
so we'll make sure they post them because it is pretty cool to watch what they did. So what we have, even though you spent $200 on this challenge, we've got $30 rubber duckies for you guys. So there's 3 of them. You guys can separate them
Can we get them out without sealing it?
if you want. So if you do come up, I'll leave these bags up here, but the only thing that you can tell is there's just tiny little ridges right here on the top of this, and it completely passed our inspections. We didn't see it, we didn't feel it. That's how they got into that bag. The USB's still in there, and so on and so forth. Now the runner...
We did it. He thought we turned in a blank badge until I submitted the hash.
That's true. We're like, okay, they have to prove that they got into that bag. All right, thanks guys. Hop down there. What was the name of the other group? I can't remember. You guys know who you are. Mr. Chumke, Chotskis, whatever. They had to come up with a group name pretty quick, and so it was whatever came out. These guys did the second best. It's almost perfectly the same, but they did a slightly different strategy. I won't make them explain it all, but we got a little prize for them as well. But what they did is they took advantage of a flaw in the bag where when you seal it, if you don't seal it just perfectly, it creates a little ridge at the little seal up here, and so they used that. They cut just a little hole in that thing, and were able to sneak it out there, and then that whole ridge just held it together, and we did find that one on our own, but it took us a while. So there are runners up, and they get these really cool alpha wireless devices from Hack5. I have to say that because they donated all this stuff to us, that allows for really easy and fun web cracking, WPA cracking, and stuff like that. So there's 3 of these for you guys. Congratulations. And so all of the rest of you guys failed miserably because we saw how you guys opened up the bags. But to be fair, we did go through and we had the layman people come by that had no idea what the bag construction was and says, hey, can you see if there's any evidence of this being tampered with? And there were some that passed the layman mustard. Let's just call it the mustard. People wouldn't, they're like, no, this is sealed, it's all good. And so for the most part, almost all of the bags we got back, if somebody wasn't looking for the cut or the seal or whatever that was violated, nobody would have known. So you guys all did a great job. We got some great submissions back. All right, let's move ahead. I want to talk about our one and only. Did that not work the whole time here? One sec. The vaults. Was that on that other slide the whole time? Okay, never mind. Black badge. There is one black badge contest at SAINTCon. We'll probably expand that in the next couple of years. I think that with the time and energy we're going to put into expanding the vault and what it's going to be, and that whole tamper-evident kind of challenge that we're going to actually break out and do of its own accord next year, we'll probably have a couple of extra black badges that we're going to award next year. But so far, we award one black badge per year to the winner of the Hackers Challenge game. And so to talk about the Hackers Challenge game before we announce who the winner is and everything else, I'm going to invite Josh Galvez, our game master, to come up, who has done an excellent job. He's going to share with you some statistics and some other things about the game and whatever else he's got.
You want to see the scoreboard? That will be there. So,
One, two, three, go.
Hackers Challenge this year was lots of fun. If you had fun, raise your hand. Woo! Good job. Hey, you guys are what made this game happen. So this year, we had tons of participation. There were over 200 different players that submitted at least one key. That was more than a third of the conference. It's awesome. There were 70 hours of play available to the game from open to close. During those 70 hours, there were only 2 hours, a 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. window, when not one key was tried. 48 hours. So there was one player that had 48 different hours throughout the 70 hours that he had submitted a key. So you take that. There's only at max he had 20 hours of sleep for the entire conference. This is what the game board ended up looking at close. Every puzzle was open. There were 2 unsolved puzzles on the board. One of them was a black box challenge, and one of them was a fun challenge that someone blew up at the end. But please don't DDoS the servers. Scoring changes this year were lots of fun. With the new division method and the new scoring method, the game board was really dynamic. We had a lot of competition between first, second, third. Even the 10th and 20th person would jump up to being in the top 5 for a while, and then they'd get, it was so volatile that it was a lot of fun. It was a fun spectator sport as well as a fun sport for each of you to play. Okay, so in the past we've had scoring where you're Jeopardy style. You had Pursuits Trivial for 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. And if you scored a 500 points, you kept those 500 points for the entire game. This year, every puzzle opened at 1,000 points. And if you were the first solve, you got 1,000 points until the next person solved it. And then your 1,000 points became 500. And they got 500. So that brought such a volatility to the game that you may be sitting on 10,000 points until the next person solves it, and all of a sudden you only have 5,000. And it was lots of fun. If you thought it was fun, show me hands. Give a little cheer. Yeah. Okay. So a few more statistics. We had 6 vault codes actually submitted throughout the game.
You guys know that the passwords you cracked were keys in the game? Yes.
So they were hidden on the board, but with 6 of those vault codes got submitted for points. There was one hidden challenge that did not get solved. And it was on your badge. All the other hidden challenges that were scattered throughout the conference got submitted. There were almost 5,000 attempts against the server for keys. 34 puzzles that were live on the board that you could see, and I had a lot of help. I've got to give a big hand to all my authors that wrote puzzles for me. Thank you. I had fun running the game, but I couldn't have done it without their help. So, top 10 wrong answers. If you recognize any of those, good job.
Those are just the ones that we can put up on the screen.
Okay, now I need to get a couple guys up here on the stand. Slag, 4th place. Good job. Come on up. Professor Plum, come on up. Did he?
Wherever Professor Plum is.
He had to go.
All right, well.
Okay.
Okay, before we go, I want to just recognize our slag guy here. This isn't just your average 20 years of background in security guy. This guy just barely, or he's not, he's a senior in high school, has not graduated yet. And so we've got, that's for you.
Good job.
So we've got Hack 5's latest and greatest, whatever you call it, tool, toy, whatever. They're the land turtles. And if you haven't seen these are really cool. So go root whatever you want with that.
Good job.
And congratulations. Don't kill yourself right there.
We'll have to get Professor Plum his later.
Yes, we will. We'll do it.
2nd place, IP Nerds. Come on up, buddy. Awesome game.
Yeah, well, thank you.
All right, we got a land turtle for him too. So congratulations.
And just so you know, 48 hours of keys being submitted, that was IP Nerds here. This year's 1st place winner and black badge winner, Scotty. Woo!
Yeah, you have to trade in your old one. So there's your brand new black badge to add to the previous black badge. So he's got 2 now. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Good job, Scotty. And a big congrats to all of our top 10. Good game.
Thanks. All right, hopefully you guys had a lot of fun. It was great to put that together. It was awesome for Josh to pull it together and take all of that load. Normally the Hackers Challenge game, I should have had this slide up earlier too. Normally the Hackers Challenge game is kind of, I'll run it and I'll try and get some puzzles together, and last minute we're throwing things together. He's been working on it for months and did an incredible job. Give Josh a round of applause. All right, I'm going to skip a slide for you. Okay, so let's talk really quickly about the conference. We talked a little bit about some of the things that we're planning on doing in the future. So at this point, because of the size, the logistics, parking, and other things, we've decided that we're very likely, I can't say for 100%, we're very likely going to move the location of SAINTCon next year. And right now, we're looking for that site to be Provo. Hopefully that helps some people, relieves some of the travel for some, increases the level of travel for others. But we feel that there's a number of different reasons to move the conference. Some of the ones that we've talked about are, it just needs to move so that it makes it easier for certain people to come that haven't been here for a long time. The logistics and the room that we're going to be growing into, to build an entire room for the vault next year is going to require a lot of room. And so we're limited in what we can do here because of fire code and some of these other issues and such. So I wanted to talk about that for a minute and let you know that if we can pull it off, we're going to move it to Provo. If we can't pull it off, it might be in Salt Lake City. And if we really can't pull it off, we might be back here next year. But Weber State has agreed to let us come back if we need to. So that's great, and we thank them for that. All right, I've got a couple of other people that we need to thank and talk about. First of all, we want to thank all of our volunteers. For the first time at SAINTCon, we actually had a volunteer list that we could pull from and have people help us out with AV, have people help us out with registration and things. How nice was it on Tuesday morning to not stand in line with 400 people wanting your badges, right? That's because of the volunteers and things. We did that. Almost nobody stood in line at all for registration. They did an incredible job, and they were hiding in the background, doing the things they needed to do to make their conference run as smooth as possible. And so there's a couple of first-time evers to talk about. For the first time ever, AV worked all the way. For the first time ever, we haven't had some major mess up with registration. And there's a bunch more. Let's not go through it. I'm not going to sit up here and talk about it. Thank you. There's a couple of other people that need to be re-recognized. I had this slide during the opener, but there's a lot that goes into SAINTCon. There's registration, there's sponsors, and wrangling the sponsors and helping them out. There's administration things, there's badge hardware, there's executive tracks, and all of these things that you can see up on the screen, and these are the people that made it possible. And I'd like to invite all committee members to come up here and take a bow. Come on up. There's a lot of you. Maybe the stage won't hold us all. But ladies and gentlemen, these guys are the ones that made this possible. So wait, hold your applause. Hold applause. Let's get them all up here. I won't go through all of their names. Most of you know who they are. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the SAINTCon 2015 committee. And so, while they're up here, I've got a couple of extra black badges to award. So, for services above and beyond the call of committee, or the call for committee, and an epic badge delivery this year, we've already awarded Clint his. Clint, you're sporting your black badge over here. But we would like to also award a black badge to the designer of the hardware for the badge, Luke Jenkins. And one of the big programmers for the badge, Jonathan Karras. And one of the other programmers of the badge to make it work with everything else, Seth Johnson. So, thank you for all of the help and effort. It's not that they did more or less, but the badges were so awesome. So thank you. This group makes up thousands of hours of time that has been put into SAINTCon. So as they go back down, one more round of applause. Thank you guys. Congrats. Thanks again to all of you. We will be doing another call for committee coming up in January, February timeframe. If you want to stand up on this stage and be responsible for thousands of hours of work, it's really worth it, I promise. We would love for you guys to respond and perhaps be part of the committee. We might actually shrink the size just a little bit next year, kick some of these people out that we don't like. I totally mean that as a joke. Everybody was exceptional this year. Just to give you an idea, we met every single week for months. We met every other week for all of the months prior to that, and we met multiple times together to talk about what we were going to do to make SAINTCon as cool and as successful as possible. So they did an incredible job. They don't need another round of applause, but I just wanted to make sure you guys understood what has been put into this. And so lastly, we want to just take an opportunity again to thank you guys for being here. We've had a lot of fun. It's been great for us. The Twitter sphere continues to blow up on my phone up here. And so obviously Dave is doing something right. And in closing, I know this is kind of a little weird, but if you have some time to donate, we would love for you to stick around and help us with AV, tear down and things. There are a lot of people that have been here since Sunday morning, making sure that everything is working. And so a little bit of help goes a long way. To give you some guidelines for that, I just want you to say, we don't need you putting stuff in boxes, but if you'll take like cables, like VGA cables, coil them up nice, electrical cables, coil them up nice and things, and come put them all in like piles. We'll have our AV crew kind of sort through them and put them where they need to go. Anything that might be broken and damaged, you might just leave there and let them take care of and such, but your help would be appreciated so that these guys that have been here forever can go home to their families and enjoy the rest of their week or weekend and such. And that's all I've got. That's all the slides. This is the end of the show. We appreciate you again for being here, and we'll see you somewhere next year.
Also, how about a big round of applause and thank you to Troy for helping us put all this together?